Do you want to go to war with a knife or artillery? Do you want to drive the bulletproof well tank to war, or do you want to take a knife? That's the way I look at it. I want my kids to go to war with the tank. I want them to be in the tank, Tom. Welcome back to the Seven Figure Flipping Podcast. I have my dear friend here with me today, Tom Laune from Bulletproof Wealth. Tom is a financial ninja. Okay, so I am obsessed with investing and making my money make money and building legacy for my family, which is why I love Tom Laune, because he helps real estate investors do that. Tom, you've been on the show before. Give a 30-second overview of your story and what it is that you do.
Sure, Adam. Absolutely no problem. So my 30-second overview is that for like 29 years, Adam, I was a professional in the music industry, and I was actually a recording and mix engineer, and I lost hearing in one ear, and thankfully, I had a disability policy that paid me to go back to school and do whatever I wanted to do for 5 years I had. And so what I did was I decided to help people not get in the situation of, basically where if you can't work or you get sick or hurt or anything like that, that you just are, without any means to help yourself. Because if I didn't have that policy, Adam, I literally don't know what I would have done. So I went back to school and got 4 financial designations, learned as much as I could about everything involved in the finance industry, and ended up really falling in love with this one concept. And it is putting your money into basically a line of credit inside of specially designed life insurance. And so that is what I'm doing now for the last, 13 years or so. I've been helping people really accelerate their wealth. I started out looking at working with families who have a loved one with special needs. And then I ended up transitioning into mostly working with real estate investors. So that's what I do now, even though I'm trained in a bunch of different areas. So that's the high level.
I love it. 29 years ago, this happened. This started 29 years ago. For context, I was 10. I was 10 years old 29 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that makes you feel, Tom, but I thought I'd let you know.
Yeah.
Okay. What is why would somebody like a house flipper or a real estate investor, what's the primary benefit of doing this, using this particular tool, and who's the right person to use this from an income level perspective?
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. So first of all, there is no income requirement. Like you don't have to make a certain amount of money to do this. But the reality is that most of the time you need a certain threshold in a line of credit to really move the needle on your real estate investing. And typically people want to have somewhere north of $50,000 available to them to be able to use as either a down payment to purchase a home or be able to use as their rehab money. The bottom line is the reason real estate investors love it is because they can be doing more than one thing with their money. And I know that sounds, a little bit salesy, but it's really true in this case because you're essentially creating a value or equity inside of a life insurance policy that is literally going to grow for the rest of your life, but you can also collateralize it to use in your fix and flip at a very low interest rate. So real estate investors, once they see the power of this and they get into it, the compounding growth inside of their life insurance policies and all the other benefits that it has, which are a lot of tax advantages, they end up just going, oh my gosh, I want to do as much of this as I can possibly do. But it takes a little time to understand the strategy. I will say that. That's why I do a lot of education and I really try to help people understand the basics. And I want people to be super comfortable with it before they move forward.
Yeah, no, I like to simplify, maybe even oversimplify. So you'll beat me up a little bit here, Tom.
Sure, no problem.
But this is a this is fundamentally a life insurance policy. Okay.
Correct.
That's the primary benefit from my viewpoint. This is Adam Whitney's viewpoint. I'm not a financial planner, but I am a user of this and I do this. And I want to just kind of explain it in layman's terms.
Sure.
If I die, my wife and family get $5 million on my policy. Okay.
Correct.
So there's my legacy. And there's all kinds of cool things you can do with trust and stuff in the back end. In order for me to do that, I have to spend money to buy the life insurance. Okay. That's money going out.
Yes.
If you are a real estate investor that's getting lump sums of money, when they come, I flip a house, I get a big chunk of change. A place to put your money and be able to use it again is in this policy that you have to pay for if you want the $5 million when you die. So
Sure.
if you put your money in here in a lump sum way, you don't have to do a lot. You could do a lot based on your income, or you could do a little. There's a minimum. As Tom said, I think he said about 50K would get you moving. But in this case, the real benefit in these policies is putting in as much as possible. It allows you to leverage that money. So you put the money in to buy the policy, and then depending on the model of how you do it, there's a couple different ways. You potentially can pull back a large portion of that money in a loan. You can get a loan from either the life insurance company itself or a bank. There are a number of banks who specifically lend on these policies. Now, not every bank is the best bank to go with, but there are banks around the country that really like these policies. My 2 cents in talking to bankers is when you think about a bank giving a loan with collateral, meaning if somebody gives you a loan to buy a house, the collateral is the house. They have a lien on the house, and therefore they're comfortable giving you a loan for 30 years at a low interest rate. The only other thing that I know of in the world that the banks love giving loans on at low rates is this policy. A life insurance policy is so solid that banks will give you extremely favorable terms on these policies. So what does that mean? That means I buy life insurance. Let's not get it twisted. That's what I'm doing. I'm buying life insurance. But if I do it in a certain way, I have the ability to take that money back in the form of a collateralized loan, either from whole life or a bank, not whole life, from the insurance company or the bank. I can then re-employ that capital. Like, okay, so I just bought $5 million for when I die, and then I can take the money that I bought it with and use it again. Mind blown, like
Yes.
insane. That's how my smaller brain than yours works, Tom. Do you want to fill in any gaps there?
No, Adam, you did absolutely amazing. That is the basics of what it is. And the reason they love the collateral so much and the reason they give you favorable terms is because worst case scenario, the very worst thing that can happen is that something tragic happens to you and you're no longer with us, right? And if that happens, there's a huge new chunk of capital that comes into the world that is the death benefit. And that money will pay off the loan. And then the loan is always a small portion of the death benefit. So let's just say you had a $200,000 loan out on a $5 million policy, and your family would then get 4.8 million after that loan is satisfied. So that's why the banks are like, heck yes, this is amazing collateral. It's the best there is. They like it better than houses, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's really cool. Okay, here's the other part of this that I want to dive into, because this is for this the style of life insurance that we're talking about is not for everyone. Not everyone will use it the way that I'm talking about. There are other ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
If the life insurance itself is important to you, there are other things and other ways. But in
Yes.
this particular style, where you're using it as a strategy in conjunction with, real estate investing or investing in general, you have to create a cash up. you need to pay, you need to have a upfront. I put my money in. Of course, I can get it loaned back out in some period of time and use it for
Mhm.
something else. But then, Tom, you have to fund it every year for at least 7 years. Is that correct?
That is correct. And what that's all about is that there's a lot of tax advantages, which we haven't gotten into inside of putting money in life insurance. And back prior to 1986, Adam, people were literally putting millions of dollars into a policy and that money was never taxed again. And they were literally putting it all in one shot. They called it a single pay whole life. And the IRS started going, now wait just a minute here. This is abusive tax strategy that people are doing because essentially they're using life insurance strictly as a tax, avoidance strategy. And truthfully, they just put the squash on it. In 1986, they said, okay, from now on, if you're going to call this life insurance, you have to make at least seven premium payments. They call that the 7-pay test. And so just to give you a real basic on that, if you prior to 1986 could put in $700,000 on day one and then have access to a huge chunk of that, after 1986, they said, nope, you're going to have to break that up into at least seven $100,000 payments so that this now can be truly considered life insurance. So that's what that whole 7-pay thing is all about. They also call it the MET corridor, which stands for modified endowment contract, but I don't want to get super,
Yeah.
techie on you right now. But it's just one of those things where, yes, you have to make 7 payments in order to keep it as life insurance. Now, people get jammed up on that concept because if you only made 5 payments, it's not like someone's going to hunt you down for those last 2 payments. It's just that you won't be able to keep your policy. You'll have to surrender it. So it's not like 7 payments or you're in big trouble. It's 7 payments in order to keep the policy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, which means if the big thing for me, for everybody listening, is you want to be able to make at least all 7
You
payments.
definitely do.
Okay,
Yeah.
that it is in your best interest to do that.
Yes.
There could be some negative effects. I mean, there are some negative effects if you don't make all 7 payments. So
Yes.
this is where I think people get nervous about it. But before we go into that, I want to talk about the tax thing. So
Yeah.
if I come to you today, Tom, and I say, how much can I put in it today? You do a model, you say, hey, Adam, you could put $175,000 in it today. And maybe you could pull out 140, 150, some portion of that, like
Yeah.
with a month later or something, right? So I can get that money back and use
Correct.
it again. Okay. That 175 that I put in today, that money is taxed. That's taxed money.
Well, you're putting in after tax money.
Right. I've already been taxed on that money.
Exactly. In other words, it's not a Roth, but it functions similar to a Roth concept. However, most people I work with can't do Roths because they're phased out of it due to their income. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let's walk through this. I take a loan from my policy, say, for example, 140,000.
Yes.
5% as an example. That's just an example. Okay. I go take that loan and I lend it to one of the flippers in 7-figure flipping for 10%. So I got a 5% spread.
Mm-hmm.
That loan is out for a year. So I get $140,000 back once it's done, plus $14,000 of interest. That $14,000 of interest is new taxable income, but money made, correct?
Absolutely, because you did not do that in the policy.
But that 140,000, I can put it back into the policy, pay that loan zero.
Yep.
And then use it again whenever I basically want to do another loan or something else.
Yes. And so here's the part you didn't mention in that, and that is that you would have to talk to your CPA about this, Adam. But the 5% that you paid to the insurance company for the use of their money was for a business purpose. So that could be a legit business expense. If you really, dive into it and properly document it and your CPA agrees that that's good for you to do. So in other words, I'm not a CPA, so I'm not giving tax advice here, but I'm just telling you that the money that you pay in interest, if it's used for business purposes, can be, tax. You can get it, use that to, as a tax write off. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Let's go one layer deeper.
Okay.
Okay. If I take a loan from the insurance company, that means the money's actually coming out of my policy. While
No,
my money is
it's not, Adam. It's
okay,
not.
cool.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on. I got another follow up then. Okay, so I take a
Okay.
loan from the insurance company of 140. My 140 still in the policy earning how much?
So your 140 is still in the policy, earning whatever the dividend rate plus the guaranteed interest is for that year.
So
So
let's
you're
say it's
earning.
5%.
I
Just
mean, honestly, Adam, it in the earlier years, it's less than 5 traditionally that you're earning, but it compounds. And this is the part that really is a mind blower is if you have let's say a $2 million cash value, all of that is earning the compounding growth rate of the guaranteed cash value growth plus the dividend. And then you're only paying interest on the portion that you have loaned out.
okay, those are a lot of big words that most people don't understand. So
Okay.
I'm gonna break it down. We call this breaking it down Barney style in the military. Okay.
Okay.
Barney, big blue dinosaur, purple dinosaur, breaks everything down real simple for the kids.
Okay.
Same thing in the military. We break everything down really simple. Bottom line is when you put money into a policy like this in the fashion that you have access to it and you can pull it back, that money is earning some amount of interest or dividend,
Yes.
some amount of dividend.
Yep.
That dividend grows over time based on how long and how much money you're putting in the policy. So
Yes.
now, okay, let's back up a little bit, Tom.
Okay.
So that thing's in there doing what it does. There's some amount of interest coming, some amount of money being made on the money inside the policy. Now
Yes.
it's not really an investment. It's not making a ton of money, but it gets a dividend.
Yep.
It's non-guaranteed. It's getting a dividend.
Yes.
Historically, it gets the dividend. Okay. So
Yep.
let's just say for just simple terms, we got to give it a number. So let's just say it's getting
3%. Yes.
Okay. Let's just say it's getting 3%. I borrowed at 5.
Yeah.
Okay. As an example, I lent that same money out at 10. So really, if I can write off the 3% as a business expense, I'm really only being taxed on the 5% gain or 7.
So the 3% is the growth rate. In your model that you were using, you were paying 5% interest. So you would be writing off the 5% you paid in interest, not the 3% growth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's whatever
Okay. Yeah.
whatever interest you pay. It's not the internal growth. The internal growth you're never going to pay taxes on if you do it right.
Okay. So here, I guess the bottom line for this, Tom, is if I take the money at 5, I lend it at 10, I'm only getting taxed. So if I lend it at 10, I get $14,000 back. I'm only taxed on 7,000 of it in that model. So I know there's a lot of layers to this, and it has taken me a little bit of time watching Bill Allen do this with his policies, I've got other friends in the industry that do this, and talking to them and talking to Tom and people that I trust in this industry, because this is a low trust industry by and large, insurance, and especially life insurance. But when you find somebody like Tom, who genuinely has your best interest in mind, get in and learn it, get in and understand it, because this is the kind of thing that can literally change the trajectory, not of your life. You're doing that every day. You're working hard to do that every day, but of the rest of your lineage's life, literally the rest of your lineage's life.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole strategy, and I'm not going to go into it. And I think if you're listening to this, you should go look it up. It's called the Rockefeller strategy, right? It was Rockefeller, wasn't it?
Yeah, they called it what there's a book out called What Would the Rockefellers Do? And it gets into family trusts and dynasty planning and,
Yeah.
family
The
constitutions. And there's a lot to doing it, but it's phenomenal.
and the kind of the layman's term for that Rockefeller strategy, what would Rockefeller do is they basically set up trust that the life insurance policy is in. I die, $5 million lump sum comes. The trust says everybody down the line gets a trust and a life insurance policy bought for them if they can get it, whatever, year one of their life, which is the best time to buy it because you're the healthiest typically
Yeah.
and it's the cheapest.
Yes.
So now you're getting the best insurance policy. My $5 million from me dying is paying for it, paying for the trust. And then it says when that person dies, do it again for the next person, and then do it again for the next person. There's some layers to that, but there are experts who set it up. So like for me, I'm having advanced tax group set up my stuff, ATG, Tony Dixon and JJ Chowder. Shout out to those guys. Awesome, trusted partners of mine. And then I take my life insurance policy, I put it in my trust. So when I die, I was broke. I grew up in a family of illiterate people. Nobody made it past ninth grade and they didn't have any money. I'm changing that, not just for me, but for everybody for the rest of my time. My kids have kids and their life will be changed. So, this is the stuff people don't tell you about.
Yeah.
These are like the wealthy people's secrets. And you would think, well, I'm not Warren Buffett. I'm not the Rockefeller. Right. But this is accessible to me. And I'm not like some wealthy, I'm not Elon Musk, but I can surely figure out how to get this done to have a massive impact on my legacy for the rest of our centuries of humans, so that my family continues to move forward with a competitive advantage rather than having to fight from nothing. And the odds of fighting from nothing are so low. Now, of course, hard times make strong men, weak times make soft men. I get it. But do you want to go to war with a knife or artillery? Do you want to drive the bulletproof well tank to war, or do you want to take a knife? That's the way I look at it. I want my kids to go to war with the tank. I want them to be in the tank, Tom.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I, of course, Adam, you know that I have related my whole strategy to a tank and to all the different elements that a tank can do. And yes, you definitely want to go with a tank. I will just be honest with you, Adam. I've noticed a trend with real estate investors, and that is that they tend to grind really hard, make money, spend it, make money, spend it, but they have a hard time hanging on to growing wealth for generations. It's just not easy to do. And that's what I'm trying to step in and say. There's a way to structure your money that allows you to grow generational wealth and grow a lot of wealth for retirement and all kinds of stuff. But you just have to be smart about it while you're in your grinding phase, right?
Yeah.
Don't just make money, spend it, make money, spend it, make money, spend it. You can't do that.
And Tom, I call this the say-do gap. We say we're in this industry to change our family, to make an impact, to create legacy.
Mm-hmm.
What we do is get big chunks of money and put it in places, and then we don't actually formally create the legacy. The legacy is fundamentally something that lives beyond you. That's bigger than you.
Yes.
Right. And really what most people are doing is just trying to like fix them and their financial status. I'm trying to get my financial status higher, but not genuinely creating legacies. We have these tools. We didn't create the game.
Yeah.
We didn't create the rules of the game. We just play inside the game. There's two fundamental parts of the game. Making money is one part. That's common to all. But the other two parts where real estate investors have a competitive advantage is in taxes, wealth preservation, and growth through real estate and other tools like these policies. So
I
learn
love
the
that.
game. If you're
Yeah.
serious about it, if you're just interested, that's fine. But if you're committed to legacy and you're genuinely serious about it, then learn the game and then go figure out how to play it the best way possible.
I love it, Adam. And I've never heard anyone say the say do gap, but that totally makes sense. I mean, kind of the way that I process that is that real estate investors are really good at making money. I'm trying to teach them how to keep it. The bottom line, you know, just
Yeah.
keep them.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all.
Keep it, grow it, make sure it never goes away. You know, Tom, there's the lottery fallacy, right? You know, somebody who is seemingly not well off, then maybe they're middle class, lower middle class, they hit the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
And on average, somebody who wins the lottery, say $1 million, 10 million bucks, a zillion bucks, doesn't really matter. They have no money within 3 years.
Yes,
And
100%.
it's so like if you can't take care of, if you don't learn the game and create the habits to take care of $100, you're not going to take care of $1 million. So if you say you want legacy, then you should do the things that actually create legacy. And it's making money and keeping money and making sure that you structure it in a way that it lasts past you. That's legacy.
Totally, Adam. I mean, it's been said that if you took all the money in the world and distributed it evenly amongst every person alive, so where no one was ahead of the other, everybody had the exact same amount within one generation, it would all be in the hands of 1% of the people again. And I totally believe that. Does that make sense?
Right. But
It's
you
just,
have an option to create some control around that.
yes, you do.
Because
But most people don't have the education to be able to do it. And that's what I love helping people figure out. I
yeah,
really
and
do.
and Tom, I would tell anybody listening right now, and you're like, dude, this sounds crazy to me. It's supposed to sound crazy. That's what the wealthy want it to sound like. They
Yeah.
want it to stay in the top 1%. I'm telling you, I did not come from money. I've been learning how to make money through real estate investing, and I've been fortunate to make a good amount. I'm not the richest person in the world, a good amount of money. Now I'm taking it and I want to do what the top 1% are doing. And the only way to do that is to get around smart people who you trust, which is incredibly important,
Hmm.
that can help you learn. You're not going to learn this in a sitting. You're going to get on a call. You're going to schedule a call with Tom or somebody you trust. I recommend Tom, obviously. You're going to talk to Tom and Tom's going to explain it to you. Your mind is going to go, wow, okay, hold on. I need to sleep on that. And then you're probably going to have two or three more conversations and then it's going to click. You're like, oh my gosh, this is the thing that genuinely builds legacy. It closes the say do gap, closes it because what you say, I want to build legacy, and what you do become the same because you use this tool that typically only the wealthy have.
That's so well said, Adam. I love it.
Awesome. Okay, Tom. So now people's minds are completely fried, and I go too deep for people I know, and probably you do too. People are like, "Holy crap! I'm trying to make sense of this." How can they just call you? Like, it doesn't cost any money to talk to you, right?
No, it does not. So I have a free consultation. The way it works, Adam, is go to my website. It's bulletproofwealth.info. Hopefully Morgan can put a link or something in the show notes, or somebody can, but bulletproofwealth.info. And then you just sign up for my video education, because to be honest with you, just listening to this podcast is good, but it's very important to try to get a little bit more pre-understanding before we talk. And the only reason I do that is to help people get good questions, because I want to be able to answer your questions. And if you can watch a few of my videos, and it's really just me doing presentations at different conferences, right? Really, that's what my education is. And I spend a lot of time trying to get it distilled down to where doesn't take hours to learn this stuff. And then there's a link inside of my video page that you sign up for on my main page that allows you to book a call with me. And that is how I do it. And then we go over exactly what you can qualify for. And it is not something that I press into people. Oh, you got to do it today. I'm not high pressure at all, not even close. I want to make sure it's the right timing for you specifically if you're ready to do this.
And that's what I love about you, Tom. You'll tell people, hey, this isn't right for you right now, or here's something different I recommend. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I got to learn more. Tom, what was the book you recommended? Rockefeller.
So
What
it's
would
called
Rockefeller
it's
do?
What Would the Rockefellers Do? That's the name of the book that specifically goes into that generational legacy strategy that you were talking about. However, you can't do that until you have the structure set up, and I help you get the structure going.
So you need to go to bulletproofwealth.info. There's
Yep.
all kinds of education on there. Schedule a call, do the education, get really good questions, write your questions down, top 10 questions for Tom, schedule a call with Tom, then get on and Tom will help bring you along the journey to make sure you have a very clear understanding of how this might potentially work for you if you think
Yep.
it would be helpful.
Yes.
Okay, Tom, brother,
Good.
friend, I'm so grateful for you, man. I always enjoy our interactions and our conversations, and I love when you do come to the events with the Seven Figure Flipping family, and you educate all of the house flippers so that they can keep more of their money. So I genuinely thank you for that.
Well, Adam, I love the group. It's just been amazing to be a part of it for, gosh, I don't even know, at least 8 years now. So it's just been, it's been awesome. I love you guys' group. It is, I could not recommend it highly enough. If you guys are thinking of joining, and they have a lot of different levels that you can join at. So please look into that. If you're thinking, I want to get better at flipping, or I really want to have somebody hold me accountable, because there's a lot of cool structure that you guys have, and I've seen over the years.
Yes,
So
sir. Thank
highly
you.
recommend it.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Tom, thank you for your time today, brother. I hope you have amazing closeout to 2025, and I'm looking forward to working with you closer.
Thanks, Adam. We'll talk soon.